On today's wrestling news, we've got a backstage update on Brock Lesnar's return to WWE.
We've got the truth behind the MJF Hurt Syndicate breakup stuff.
What is Tony Khan's biggest regret?
And we've got Tony Khan providing a bit of a heartbreaking update when it comes to Jay White.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the news time? My name is Phil Chambers and I'm joined by Gareth Morgan to talk all things wrestling news. We're finally back together again. But first up, you might have noticed, I don't know if you might not have, but you probably did. But Lesnar returned and the world went crazy. Obviously, now we've got a bit of an update on this from the Wrestling Observer newsletter and Dave Meltzer about kind of what was going on behind the scenes while he was away. Now, he's been off for 2 years since being sort of named in the Janelle Grant lawsuit and was never suspended throughout that and was apparently fully paid throughout the whole thing, making him one of the highest paid wrestlers in the company who just sat at home for 2 years. WWE never released him because they were basically always going to bring him back as soon as the legal teams cleared him, and that happened 1 month before SummerSlam, allowing for the big return at SummerSlam itself. Now, there's a bunch of other things sort of surrounding this. Basically, like you might have seen Paul Heyman on the Ariel Helwani podcast. He's been talking about it, basically telling fans to get over it. You got to pop, so who cares? Nick Khan's view on this seems to be that if there isn't like a criminal conviction, then who cares? Fightful Select had a bit of report saying that basically the backstage reaction, like amongst the talent and things like that, is very mixed. Some people like not dismissing the allegations, but that like no one's gonna like walk out over it or anything like that, obviously. And that WWE doesn't concern itself with wrestlers' reactions anyway. Now, so, like, surrounding all this, like, Brock Lesnar is named a lot in the Janelle Grant lawsuit. He was one of the people that Vince McMahon was trying to traffic Janelle Grant to in the first place in exchange for signing a WWE contract, which is grim. His response to some of the illicit photos that Vince McMahon sent of her to Brock Lesnar was also quite grim. But he is not being sued as part of the lawsuit. The lawsuit was Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE themselves. He is not being sued in this. And obviously, if WWE's legal team have cleared him, it kind of suggests they don't think he's going to be sued or sort of caught up in this anytime soon. Now, on the flip side of that, Janelle Grant's team kind of expects more to be revealed in the discovery process. But obviously, like, there's no guarantees in that. It's just sort of what they find as they go along. So this isn't specifically about sort of being sued or having a criminal conviction or having anything like that. It's more of like an optics thing of what WWE thinks of the lawsuit and the portion of their audience that is very much against it for obvious reasons. And the fact that they just don't really care because he got a pop at SummerSlam, so they're just going to bring him back anyway. So it's a tough one because as much as like there's no criminal conviction, he's not a part of the lawsuit, he's not going to be sued over this, it's still just a really, really bad luck for WWE amidst a lawsuit that is an absolutely disgraceful look for WWE. And yeah, it seems like it's not stopping anytime soon, these kind of grim moves by WWE.
Yeah, and it is just one of those depressing things where it's like, well, if it looks like it's going to create a capital M moment and just like get attention on the product and like sell tickets and all that kind of stuff, it's just, that's all that matters. It's a business. Like, yep. Just if you've got a personal problem with it, that's your problem. Then we're going to keep on moving. It's, yeah, I did see the Paul Heyman comments and it was just a bit like, oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, there's not more to this than just chasing the pop, and that means everyone's fine if someone cheered. Sometimes there's a thing as a, like, such a thing as a shock pop, like, oh my God, they've just done that.
Yeah.
Like, I probably would have made a reaction I probably would have gone, what?
Yeah.
And that would have made a loud noise. So it's not always a great thing when you hear a big reaction, but
it remains to be seen. He's going to be on TV more eventually. Obviously, he wasn't on SmackDown last night, but John Cena was talking about it, obviously. But as the shock pop calms down, the real reaction will come out, and I guess we'll have to see how the fans react to him sort of around the world, wherever he goes.
It's just one of those sad things, isn't it? Where WWE could just lean on the fact if he does get booed and all the rest of it, like, oh, he's a heel. And it's like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
There's more to this, but yeah, it's just one of those situations, like you said, it's going to keep developing as we go, and we'll just do our best to kind of inform everyone as we learn more stuff. But speaking of like learning things that are quite just interesting within the wrestling world right now. There's been, obviously, MJF and the Hurt Syndicate were like a big unit for quite a while, and it seemed like that was something that was going to be a bit of long-term storytelling, and there was like just going to weave in and out of the main event scene, maybe eventually leading to a big split and all that kind of fun stuff. But then it just sort of ended very quickly, really. And like even on Dynamite this week, I was like, okay, seems like that's that, but it was a bit anticlimactic. It was sort of just in a backstage segment. Maybe it does kind of still flicker a little bit down the line, and there is more stuff to it. But obviously, there were reports that have like dropped over the last like couple of days throughout the week. Specifically, there was one from Fightful, I think, and a few others talking about like backstage heat regarding MVP and like the idea of MVP not wanting the Hurt Syndicate to lose against Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, issues with Mike Bailey, and that they actually turned down losing to FTR and wanted to lose to the Outrunners, Gates of Agony, Private Party, or even Ospreay and Strickland. So they wanted to drop the belts to them instead. In the Wrestling Observer, Meltzer has said that there absolutely was a plan of FTR winning their titles at All in Texas, and that they were originally to win later at Forbidden Door and then defend against Adam Copeland and Christian at All Out. So that was seemingly where we were going to go with that. But then the situation changed, and like everything changed at All In. We had different things altogether. But it was also said that the alliance with MGF and the Hurt Syndicate was supposed to last much longer. So like we all thought, like this is going to be some long-running thing. That seemingly was the plan. That was not an MVP request, but supposedly from another member of the group, so that's why the angle was just cut off so quickly. So we don't know who the other member in the group. It's not said exactly who that is, but there's only two other members in there, so yeah, we'll leave that one there. So right now, Meltzer just does his typical ranty thing within this and just starts saying like why it's a bad idea for certain teams to beat the Hurt Syndicate for the belts and whatever it is. But right now, he said, last we heard, the belts may get to FTR and are supposed to, but they may do some sort of a deal and not just have it done clean in a regular tag match with other ideas being talked about. So maybe they just do a big multi-person again where like the Hurt Syndicate don't have to get pinned, and it's that kind of deal. Yeah, so a lot of information there, and it just seems like something has completely changed in this angle because a person within it just didn't want to do it, and that is fine, I guess. Like if somebody just suddenly goes, okay, I'm not really feeling this. AEW is a place where you have that kind of creative freedom, but at the same time, you put so much into it, so much investment, and then suddenly to maybe wake up one day and just be like, don't fancy it now. I think they've done the best they can with this situation. Like they've managed to just pull MJF into that Briscoe stuff, into the Hangman stuff, and the Hurt Syndicate can just go off and do their thing. Like, it doesn't feel too jarring, but it's still enough to be like, okay, so much for that then.
Yeah. This is just, I think, one of the main problems in AEW, in that it is good that the wrestlers have a little bit more on the sort of creative control side of things, but you also need the sort of one person at the top to say, no, shut up, you're doing this. Because otherwise these problems happen, and then if you're just kind of trying to placate everybody, then nobody's going to be happy, and then it's going to disrupt your TV show going forwards, and it's happened a lot in AEW. I understand people not wanting to work with people, and you've got to work around that and things, but it's like there's got to be also something where someone just says like, look, let's just finish this and then we'll move on and sort of do your job kind of thing. But it's also one of those things where we're never probably going to find out what actually happened. We'll just get little drips and drabs from each side, and we'll never quite know the truth. It'll be somewhere in the middle. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with it and whether we get any more information. But it's just, it's a disappointing thing. I think they were showing signs of promise in TV and things, and I was looking forward to see what they did with it. And it's just another thing that's going to be dropped by the wayside, I guess. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
One of those things. But speaking of Tony Khan, what do you think his biggest regret is in wrestling? Well, he was talking to Barstool Sports and My Mom's Basement podcast, and he has explained what it is. And it is not having Jay Briscoe on AEW TV at any point. Apparently, he tried really, really hard to get Jay Briscoe on TV. But he couldn't. TNT wouldn't allow it due to homophobic comments he made on social media back in 2013. Now, to clarify that side of it, he has apologized multiple times throughout the years since then. He actively went out of his way to learn and to grow and to try and sort of make up for it and change himself as a person. And by all accounts of people backstage, he did that. And he was very, very like genuinely super apologetic for the, sort of the views he once held, but then changed. So you've got to give people like space to grow and space to learn and space to change. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, no one, if you're just calling people out and one thing you say this one time and then disregard everything they did to try and fix that, like that's completely pointless. You've got to allow people space to grow. So, but at the time, it was different management within sort of Warner Brothers Discovery and specifically in TNT. So as much as he fought really hard to get them on the show, he even had them at Dynamite sometimes, but just couldn't sort of pull the trigger of it and get them on TV. He feels like if it happened now, he probably could make it happen with the new leadership and the sort of relationship that he's got with Warner Brothers and TNT. So that's his biggest regret, is just not being able to get the Briscoes together on AEW TV, which is a shame because they would have been absolutely amazing. They were such an entertaining tag team. I absolutely love them, and we can only like just look at the sort of fan connection that we've got to Mark Briscoe now. It would have been great to have them both on AEW TV at some point. But yeah, that's Tony's biggest regret.
Yeah, and that's the whole bittersweet thing with the Mark Briscoe run, really. It's awesome seeing him get this spotlight and just getting that chance just to show what he can do as a singles guy and having that support rewarded. But it does just always hit you a little bit when you watch him. You're like, it would have been amazing. It would have been absolutely amazing just seeing him have a run through AEW, maybe even just being signed like full-time, just being in there and just doing the thing and mixing it up with all these different teams and adding to that legacy. Mark's already doing that anyway in his own way, but just as a team, it would have been wonderful. And it's just sad. It's just a really sad regret, and it's understandable why that is a regret for Tony. But in that same interview, there was another quite like sad in a way kind of update or even like a sad kind of comment, let's say, from Tony Khan in this. And he was talking about Jay White, because Jay White obviously has been injured for a while now. We've not seen him since, I believe it was March when he suffered an injury in a match against, is it Kevin? It was Kevin Knight. Yeah, Kevin Knight. And with just that, like, we've heard little bits and bobs about it, like about, I think it was that he was saying it was shoulder related or something I saw recently. I might just be making that up completely, but it did seem like it was quite serious what was going on. And Tony has now added, Jay White is one of the best wrestlers in the world and got injured along the way. He is out, and unfortunately is going to be out for a long time. So that's all he kind of added with that. So that's really sad. I like Jay White. I think he's definitely got his place in AEW. He's got a lot of talent and a lot of potential to be a real top guy. I don't think it's fully clicked in AEW because a lot of the time he does get injured right around the time he seems to be picking up momentum as a babyface or as a heel. It just doesn't seem like he's ever quite fully allowed to kind of just kick on. I hope he does get fit and gets back and just feels healthy. Just in general, not in terms of like the wrestling world, just as a person, I hope he gets in a better place soon, because that must be so frustrating every time you get to that point, get to that kind of just near the main event scene, and then something happens like this. It's been the story of the Bang Bang Gang in general. Obviously, Juice Robinson returned from a broken leg recently at All In, and then just when that happened, Colton Gunn, like part of the Guns, they came back at All In, and then Colton Gunn went down injured. So it's just been Austin Gunn and Juice Robinson right now, and they're just keeping the Bang Bang Gang going for a little bit. And yeah, I want them all to get healthy again, because that was a run, that was a time when we had the Bang Bang Gang fully fit together, just wreaking havoc on Collision, and now it feels like it's been an eternity since we've seen them all together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things you never kind of like reporting on because it's just a bit crap. And all you can say is hopefully he gets well soon, gets sort of whatever medical attention he needs to get it sorted, and gets back on TV, sort of where he belongs. So yeah, good luck to it. Don't rush it, as we always say. Don't want to come back before you're ready. But yeah, we just have to wish the best to Jay White and hope he gets back as soon as possible. But that is it. Thank you very much for joining us. You can follow us over on the old social medias. You can follow me at Fill My Chambers, and you can follow this guy
on so many. I've got on X, I'm at GMorgan04 on X, that thing. On Instagram, you can follow me at Gareth Morgram, and then I've also got a personal training one. I said personal fitness then. Personal training Instagram page, which is at fitness.focus.gm, where you can keep up to date on all my kind of fitness journey stuff because I'm a personal trainer and I throw out advice. You see all my clients just kicking all the butt, and I am looking soon to open up some online training options. So if you feel like you want to either start or restart your fitness journey, keep in touch and we'll see if we can do something about that in the future.
Well, there you go. Click the video on your screen to keep watching videos and have yourselves a bloody good day.
You're good at this. It's so good.